Hi, this is Dave at David Flowers Therapy, David Flowers Couples Teletherapy, actually. I do telehealth services exclusively using video, and I work pretty much exclusively with couples as well. And if I have some openings in my schedule, I may be able to, at my discretion, kind of fit in some individuals here and there. So that's pretty much a summary of my work. I'm glad you have joined me today. Again, I do these Facebook Live videos every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. And today I want to talk to you about something that really used to confuse me so much when I first started my work in private practice, where I was seeing, a large volume of couples who were sort of filtering through my practice week after week. What I noticed was, like a new couple would come into my office, for the first time, they'd sit down, they're on the couch, and I'd say, "So what brings you guys here? What can I do for you?" And the woman would say, "Oh, things are a disaster right now. Things are so bad and have been bad for so long. I just, I don't know if I can even do this. I don't even know if I can bring myself to do the work to put everything together. Things are just so bad." And I say, "Okay." And I turn to him and I say, what about you? What's your take on all of this?" And he'd go, "I think everything's great." I mean, seriously, right? I think everything's great. Other than the fact that she's so unhappy, he'd say, I think things are going pretty good. And I would just, I would just go, how can this even happen? Are you guys even like living in the same reality, right? Are you both actually like in the relationship, or like do you have doppelgangers somewhere who are like filling in for you or something? I just could not figure out how there could be such a gigantic difference in the perception between two people who are living, every day of their lives together. And you know what? I started feeling like I was unraveling that after enough couples had come in and told me that, and I realized it really comes down to two things, right? And by the way, one of them isn't that one partner is stupid, and one of them is not that one partner is a fundamentally bad person. I mean, the vast majority of the time, that's not what's going on. In fact, I always tell couples, if you seriously, really, truly believe that your partner is a bad person, that they're evil, that they're waking up every day and saying, "Let's see, how can I really hurt or really upset my partner today?" That's evil, a person that would do that. And if your partner's evil, you should pack and get out right now, because there's no treatment for that, right? And 99% of the time over my whole career, it's not what I see, some bad person who's solely responsible for all the issues. I see two people who are coming and investing time and money because they do want to be together. They do want to see things improve. So how do you explain this, right? If one of them's just not bad or stupid or evil or something. And I realized I think it comes down to two things. Now, as I explain this, I want to prepare you. I'm going to be generalizing, okay? In order to really talk about almost anything, we have to generalize, because we can't speak to every single individual situation and case. But so I will be generalizing, but I will tell you that this applies, to the vast majority of heterosexuals that I work with, and really even homosexuals. It's just that you can't say, well, the woman is usually in this place and the man is usually in that place, right? But really, almost all couples have some element of this going on. And here's it. Really, to me, comes down to two things. Okay, one of those things is if you approach a woman, a married woman, and you say, "So, how are things going in your relationship with your partner?" Um, Actually, you know what? Let me flip that around. If you approach a man and you say, "Hey, how are things going in your relationship with your partner?" That what that man is going to do most of the time is he's going to kind of scan through his memory, and he's going to say to himself, "Let's see if we had any major conflicts in the last day or two. And if so, when we got up this morning, was she smiling? Did she seem like things might be okay?" And if so, he'll answer your question and say, "Yeah, things are pretty good." But if you ask that person's wife, "Hey, how are things going in your relationship. She's not going to scan through her memory and look for the presence of recent conflict like her husband is likely to do. She's going to scan through her memory and she's going to ask herself the question, do I feel connected to this person? So he's looking for recent conflict. She's looking for, have I felt like this person has my back? Do I feel connected to this person when I am feeling badly, when I am having a difficult emotional experience? Do I feel this person is there for me? So right there you see that, it's not a bad thing. He is simply really attuned to conflict. And if there isn't conflict going on, he says, yeah, I think things are good. She's really far more attuned. And the research shows actually she's really not nearly as sensitive to conflict. Conflict doesn't affect women. This is the research. It shows Dr. John Gottman has found in his research that conflict doesn't tend to get to women emotionally on the level that it does men. So a man will go, oh, the worst thing that could happen is that we be in conflict. And he says, so are we in conflict right now? Are we having an active argument? And if not, he'll say, yeah, I think things are okay. And that's just not the way she evaluates things. The other thing is that the man will consistently, they may have had an argument last night, but he's, like I said earlier, he's looking on her face. Does she seem okay now? Does she seem happy now? Does she seem, is she being nice now? And if so, he will be likely to conclude things are actually going, okay. Whereas if I ask the wife about this, she'll say, look, I'm not going to be a terrible, mean, bad person all of the time to convince my husband that there's a problem, right? That I'm not feeling happy in this relationship. So there you have a really fundamental difference right there. Okay, so that's one major thing that's going on, is that the partners are really evaluating the relationship in a very different way. So the other major difference that adds or contributes to this drastic difference in his perceptions of the relationship versus her perceptions is what each person is fundamentally looking for in the relationship. And again, I'm generalizing. I'm saying he's usually here and she's usually there, right? And that's true in 85%, maybe a 90% of heterosexual relationships, right? But even when it's not that, even when he is on the other side, there are 15, 20% of the time, he has the feeling, that he's sort of looking at things in the more traditionally feminine way, and she might be sort of looking at things more in the traditionally masculine way. It doesn't matter. It's not right or wrong, good or bad. It just is. Okay, but what I'm saying is generally, when a man marries a woman, generally the main thing that he really thinks he's going to be getting out of this arrangement is what I call connection through companionship. Connection through companionship. That's the idea that, hey, you know what? We're going to move in together if they haven't already. We're going to move in together. We're going to have kids together. We're going to raise a family together. We're going to go on vacations together. We're going to go to events together. And I always know who I'm going to be going out with on the weekends. We'll get a boat. And he's thinking very much in terms of, I connect to this person primarily through these companionship things that we are just going to be doing in our lives together. She, on the other hand, it's not that she doesn't appreciate those things, right? She can have a lot of fun and all of that. But what she really thinks she's getting when she, marries him is someone that she will be connecting with regularly through conversation. And particularly conversation about feelings, which we can just describe as emotional experience, right? Everybody has emotional experience. It's the way you interpret reality. So he marries her and thinks, yeah, I have somebody I'm going to be doing life with, right? And she marries him and says, yeah, I'm going to be having somebody that I can regularly really engage with in these conversations. I can really connect to them about my feelings and what I'm experiencing, right? Now, here's the interesting thing that ends up happening. Just through the day-to-day living of life, once a couple, marries and moves in together, sets up their home or whatever, Or once they move in. I realize a lot of people now move in before they marry. But the point is, once a couple moves in together and they've kind of established the rhythm of their life, those needs that the man will usually have for connection through um, just those daily sort of companionship things, those needs are going to get met just by living your life. You're going to usually sleep in the same bed. You're going to get up. You're going to get ready together in the mornings. You're going to go to bed together in the evenings. You're going to raise your kids together. You're going to tag team, picking the kids up from school and, making dinner and taking kids to the doctor and, those types of things. You're going to be operating as companions and partners in that. And that to him, a lot of times is like his source of connection to her. She's my girl. She's my person. She's my companion. And it's deeply meaningful to him. And it's important that everyone understand that. It's deeply meaningful. That is, by and large, how he feels connected to her. She's looking for connection, though, through that sharing of feelings, right? So he's looking for connection and gets it through the daily sort of just living life together. She's looking for connection through conversation, right? Through the sharing of sort of personal experiences of reality. And those needs for her don't get met just in the daily act of living life together. Again, which is fine. It's not a judgment. It's just the way it is, right? Like those types of needs end up having to get met by setting time aside, usually by being intentional about sitting down and having those conversations and making those intentional, efforts to connect in that particular way. So you have to think about those two things that I just explained, right? That they each have a very different way, first of all, of evaluating whether the relationship is going well, because he's kind of looking for the presence, he's looking for the absence of conflict, where she's looking for the presence of ongoing emotional connection, right? And there's a huge difference, obviously, between those things. So they're living in very separate, very different realities. And then the other thing is that typically he's looking for connection with his wife, with the significant person in his life. He's looking for connection with that person through those sort of day-to-day, moment-by-moment acts of companionship. And she's looking for connection, by and large, most of the time, through conversation, and particularly conversation about feelings or conversation about, moment-to-moment experiences of reality. And so those are the gaps that have to be bridged. Now, how that gets done and, the processes we use to do that are, obviously a lot more than I can fit into this video. But those two things really do account, right? And it's important to understand that that's where a lot of these deep misunderstandings between partners are coming from. Otherwise, it might be tempting to say, well, I think it's just because my partner doesn't care. I mean, I see that a lot. I think it's just because my partner doesn't care. You lose faith in your partner that they're basically a person who loves you and cares for you and wants to be with you and wants you to be happy. And it keeps not happening because you have such completely different takes about A, what does a good relationship look like? And B, what do I need fundamentally or expect from a relationship? So that's kind of I think a pretty good explanation for two of the most significant reasons why couples end up really kind of looking at each other and going, are you even experiencing the same reality that I'm experiencing? And frequently the answer is no. And so a lot of the work that I do with couples when I'm working with them in therapy is helping each of them to better understand the reality of the other person, that it's not a right or wrong, good or bad issue, but that it is profoundly affecting their relationship. And we have to start with that understanding so that we can move forward from there and say, how can the two of you move closer together, become closer companions, be able to share more and more of your moment-to-moment experience with each other. Both of those needs are valid and important. thanks so much for tuning in today. It was really good to have you. And so, yeah, I'll see you next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. And, as always, don't forget to follow me on my Facebook business page, which is David Flowers Teletherapy, I believe. And my website, davidflowerstherapy.com, where you can subscribe to any of my social media channels, the YouTube videos. All of these videos end up going up there. Subscribe to the blog, whatever floats your boat. I'd love to have you sort of join me in this conversation in any way you want to. Thank you again so much for tuning in, and I will look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday. Bye.